for me, the number one thing that translated well for me from the military to real estate was discipline, hands down. I feel like I kind of got like a screw loose. I'm a little bit too like neurotic, but it's really helped me along the way. And I always tell my customers, I'm like, okay, I don't have a social life, which is good for you. It's not great for me, but we're definitely gonna, I'm there for them all, all hours of the day and night.
Welcome to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Cory.
And I'm Kristin James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Well, today's guest is Sunny Alexander, a West Point grad, Army veteran, and real estate leader whose life has been defined by service, resilience, and purpose. From commanding airborne units at Fort Bragg to supporting Gold Star families, Sunny's military career shaped her lifelong commitment to serving others, especially veterans and military families. Now based in Tampa and co-leading Red Sash Group, Sunny brings the same heart, discipline, and firsthand relocation experience to real estate. She's built a mission-driven business rooted in faith, family, and community, helping those who serve find stability, opportunity, and a place to truly call home. Welcome to the podcast, Sunny.
Well, thanks again for having me. And that's quite the intro. Hopefully I live up to that.
Well, it's all about you today.
Oh, no.
We're so excited to have you, Sunny, and dig into this. So tell us a little bit about your real estate story and how you got here today.
Oh gosh, it's been a long road, but I'll just kind of keep it simple. I got out of the Army, and at that point in time, I decided I didn't like bosses much. So I had to find a career where I was my own boss, where the better I did, the more impact I made, the more I would be rewarded for that, both monetarily and emotionally. And with our constant I was in the military for 6 years, and my husband was in the military for 22 years. So there was a lot of moving involved there. So the natural progression was real estate. I got into it after I got out of the Army the second time, and I haven't looked back. That was back in 2007. I took a brief hiatus to get my master's in communications, but now my husband has since retired from the Army, and we retired out of MacDill Air Force Base, which is in Tampa. Once we decided that this is where our roots were going to be, that's when I picked up and I got back into real estate again, because we all know that it's very hard to build a book of business, to build a footprint in your community where people, know, like, and trust you, and they use you for their services. And I always told my husband, Jordan, I'll get back into real estate when I know we're going to be in one place for a very, very long time. So how I got into real estate was I didn't like bosses, and I decided to be my own boss, and I haven't looked back since.
That's amazing. I wonder if you can share what skills from your military experience transferred unexpectedly well into real estate.
I would say not unexpected, but what was seamless for me was my discipline. I am very like by the book. I'm at my desk by 7 a.m. I am working out, normally between 3 and 4 p.m. every day. But when I first started, I would make a list. I'd write it on a piece of paper, and I'd have that piece of paper with me. I would have to knock on so many doors a day. I'd have to do so many open houses a day. And I went into the office every day at 9 a.m. and I stayed there. Even as a new agent, I didn't have much business, but I was around people talking real estate. So for me, the number one thing that translated well for me from the military to real estate was discipline, hands down. I feel like I kind of got like a screw loose. I'm a little bit too like neurotic. But it's really helped me along the way. And I always tell my customers, I'm like, okay, I don't have a social life, which is good for you. It's not great for me, but we're definitely gonna, I'm there for them all, all hours of the day and night.
Well, talk to us a little bit about maybe a challenge that you faced in real estate and how, and it sounds like you may have touched a little bit on it, is your personal life, which I love being with your clients all the time. But yeah, just talk about a challenge you've maybe gone through or worked through and just help our guest.
So when I first this is back in '06. So we know that, I can't do the math. It's a while from now. We're knocking on 20 years. When I first got in, my husband, he was active duty. He was a captain in the Army, and we didn't make a lot of money. We just didn't make a lot of money. We were living hand to mouth. This was during the Iraq War too, when he was deploying in and out of Iraq. And when he was home, we were living life to the fullest. We were like, you want a jet ski? Let's get a jet ski. Because I mean, I don't want to say the quiet part out loud, but we didn't know if he would survive. So we were just living life. And it gives me chill bumps thinking about it. We had a great time. But we just didn't have much reserve. So I got a job as a waitress when I first got into real estate. And I was like, I could do it all. I'm a waitress at night. During the day, I'm going to work. And I failed epically at that job. Like epic. I'm embarrassed to say, I just called in one day. I was like, I'm not coming in ever again. I'm done. So I did work for like 2 weeks. I had this wad of cash from my tip jar, and that got me through a little bit. But we were living like it was tight there. And I thought I could, work my way through it, become a waitress. I just sucked at it. I was really terrible at it. And we just had my husband and I had to come to Jesus, and he was like, okay, you can quit that job, but you've got to figure it out. And I did. After, a couple months in, I, I got some under contract and I closed them, but that's probably I haven't really admitted that story out loud. My best friend Erin, she still teases me. She's like, "You still haven't picked up that last paycheck, have you?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." So,
So
that
funny because people talk about like how working in the service industry is like one of the best things you can do, for just you learn so much about people and about, there's just skills that you don't learn anywhere else. And I'm embarrassed because I really, practically speaking, I never worked in the service industry. I did like, when I worked at like summer camps, I'd have
yeah,
in like those customer facing jobs and roles. But so kudos for being honest and just admitting that like it was something you just sucked at. Like, because I don't
I
feel
did.
like I'd be very good at it either.
I was
So
like writing down the orders, and now when I'm a great tipper because of that. Though I am and especially if the waitress is good, I'm like, dang, you're really good. I couldn't
well, and I
do
think
that.
that's it. It's like that's why people say it, because you
Yeah,
really come to appreciate what's on the other side,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that's
It's
amazing.
again, it's embarrassing. It's the first time I told anyone that story. Like, and to the
I
fact
love
that I
it.
didn't even show up to get my last paycheck. I, I've grown a lot since then. I mean, that was almost 20 years ago, but
That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Well, I'd love, Sunny, for you to share like a little bit about, you've clearly developed some resilience in your life and in your real estate business. And I think we all know that resilience matters way more than like just growing rapidly. How have you built a resilient real estate business? Talk to us about systems, about
yeah.
staffing, about mindset. What's helped develop resilience in your business?
That's a really good question. And it's a $1 million question that I think all agents should be asking, because we're as good as the last house we sold. You see a lot of agents, try to get out of the business, but you can't sell a job. You can sell a business, but you can't sell a job. And oftentimes what we have is a job. So what my husband and I did, which is it's not unorthodox, but it is, because I'm about to say a word that you guys are going to cringe. We also have a property management company. There's that place. There it is. I see it. Um, so we bought a franchise and we started a property management company. My husband runs that. My husband is a retired Special Forces Green Beret. I don't know how familiar you are with military, but like one of the secret squirrel guys. And when he was in the Army, he would interrogate bad guys. He would vet bad guys. I'm not saying tenants are bad guys at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm
I'm making
seriously,
some connections here.
I'm not saying that because we've all been tenants, but what I am saying is vetting of that really translated well into the property management space. So I know not everybody can open a property management company. We bought, like I said, we bought a franchise. Jordan is leading that. I'm leading the sales side. We deliberately kept those apart for good reason. And so the property management side, I call it our milk money. It ain't a lot of money, but it comes in every month and it comes in like clockwork. So that helps us keep it more resilient and something either we can pass down or sell as we get older. And for the sales side, the way I've approached it, and I haven't got it figured out yet, but I've pretty darn close, is I've partnered with Fusion Growth Partners. And what they do is they handle all the backside of my business. So I'm building a business with Fusion. Part of that business is systems in place. We use Asana for like a task organizers. We use Lofty. So our systems are really, really tight. And when it comes time for me to retire or pass it down to my daughter, then I'll have two entities. I'll have my sales side, which I'm building that with Fusion, and I'll have my property management side. But for those that can't open a property management company because it is hard and it's not for the weak of heart, you can certainly take a look at how you're doing your sales side and start building that business.
That's fantastic. So I have had a lot of real estate agents come up to me and ask, what do you think about me starting property management? Or what do you think, how about I do both at the same time? What would be your advice to them? Because I always struggle because it's just so different, you know?
It is very different. And depending, I can speak Florida. I can't speak other states. But in Florida, like if I were a regular, I have my broker's license. I'm in broker status. If I was a broker associate, for you to hold money in trust, you need your broker, your managing broker to approve that because that's going to their trust account. So you're going to have some trust accounting issues. There's definitely ways around it. Each state is different. Each brokerage is different. But I would caution, because what you focus on expands, right? So if you start focusing on placing tenants, then your sales are going to go down. So I would say be prepared, maybe offer that as you would list the house, you would be their property manager, but I would not get into the business of placing tenants because there's no money in it. There's no money on it. It really is going to be a case by case basis. If the opportunity arises and you can work it out with your broker and you have a tight game plan just to list the properties, I think it's doable. But it's the trust accounting. Like I don't know how some people get around that. And when I hear of agents managing different properties, that's the first thing that comes to my head. Like, what are they doing? How are they holding those
Yeah.
funds? That's kind of a
Yeah.
big deal, right?
Exactly.
It's
Well,
yeah,
and it sounds like part of your winning strategy has been that your husband can lead that division, so to speak, and
yeah,
keep it, as much as it's still like in the family, but keep it kind of separate and allow you to focus on sales and him to focus on the property management business. So,
yeah. And it's got a stigma in our business. Like when you say property management, you're like, I don't know. But it's needed. It's a
right.
needed
For
service, but
sure. And it's
but
adjacent certainly to real estate sales. So it makes
yeah,
sense why agents consider it, like you said, as kind of a means to a more predictable income, perhaps, which is often where real estate agents struggle is like, especially in the beginning, developing that like rhythm. How do you get into a predictable, income rhythm? And so
Yeah.
I think it's a natural kind of thought.
Yeah. For us, it works perfectly, but it is a difficult business model to execute. You have to have like the right people, on your team, which I mean, heck, you need the right people on your team to do whatever. So, but it is very niche, very niche.
For sure. Well, talk to us. I know in your background and even in your introduction, you have intentionally built a business rooted in faith, family, and community. Talk to us. A lot of our listeners and viewers are obviously multifaceted individuals. Have family, maybe have kids, have a spouse or significant other, want to be connecting and contributing to community. How have you woven those things together in a really intentional way as you've built your real estate business?
I have been extremely selective on the organizations that I'm involved with in Tampa. I think that I can speak from my community, and I'm very confident in saying that there's need in every community. There's so much need out there, and it's kind of overwhelming. What I've done is I'm involved in the Rotary Club of Tampa. I'm a Rotarian, and that's service above self. That makes total sense to me. Like the four, tenets: is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I think those are four fantastic questions. And that's what we live by. And I'm also involved in church, my church, Tampa First Baptist. So it was a natural progression between serving in the military and then, my husband's still serving. So I'm holding down the home base there and then serving our community. So it's finding where you belong in your community, going to those organizations, not with your hand out, because that's just gross. And a lot of people do it. They're like agents, and every profession does it. Like, I joined the rah rah club, therefore I get referrals. It doesn't work that way. But so if you find organizations that really resonate with you and you're in it for a good reason, then I think the community is going to reciprocate.
That's exactly it. I was just thinking as you're talking, like never go into something expecting that you're going to get return, but if you do it with the heart and do it with that type of forward thinking, then it will benefit you, just like you're
Yeah.
benefiting them. So
Yeah. I just think it's just, yeah, you're giving to your community and your community gives back.
yeah.
It's a really beautiful relationship, but you have to be patient. You have to come from a good place and, do it with a servant's heart. And
Yeah.
I don't think you can go wrong.
That's awesome. So my question, I've got two littles, 6 and 4, both boys. I'd love to hear about your kids, but also like, how do you manage entrepreneurship? Your husband is still in the service, you said?
He got out, gosh, 5 years ago.
Okay. So how do you guys deal with both having so much flexibility and, having children, like all the things, like this morning when my nanny was sick, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm the flexible one, but my husband's in the police force, and I'm like, and you do have some meetings, but I also have to be an entrepreneur, So
Yeah.
like, how do you guys manage that?
Well, when my husband was in the army, I was like the name on the line for the house. Anything that needed the house to be done, I always assumed I would do it. Like, I was the first, like, I don't want to say first responder, but I was the first responder of our house. I just made that up. Hopefully you don't get any hate for
I
my
love
my
that.
niece. My niece is a deputy sheriff, so I've got a heart for police
Oh,
officers.
we'll make
Now,
t-shirts.
yeah, yeah. Now that my husband is no longer in the military, he is the first responder. And the way he's the sweetest man, he's just incredible. But his thought was, you supported me. You held the family up when I was in the army. Now it's my turn. And he's like, your career always took a back seat, but now I've got your back. And so it was just a matter of playing, zone defense until you had to play one-on-one. And then when it was one-on-one, I was the one holding the bag. And I was okay with that. And that's worked well for us. I know that there's some marriages where, you go in for 50-50, but for us, this is how it works. And it's been kind of flipping awesome too, to like, I mean, after so many years, so that's how we've worked through it.
I love that. I love that you're in a different season and can really appreciate like where you've been and where you are now. I think so many people just kind of float and just sort of just find themselves in a different place, but don't really, kind of open their eyes to really appreciate where they are and where they've been. So I love that for
Yeah.
you guys
I
and
didn't
the,
even think of it that way, like a different season and to appreciate it. But gosh, that does
yes.
resonate.
Totally. So, unpack a little bit of like what does your business look like? Do you only serve military families? Do you serve, anybody and everybody? I assume like you have developed a real niche in terms of because of your background and your experience. But just give us kind of the flavor of your business and what kind of business do you do? Like volume, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
My perfect customer is a customer that trusts me, hands down. They could be military or they can be civilian. As long as you trust me, and I don't say that lightly. You guys are shaking your heads, like, because too, when you have a customer that trusts you, then that everything goes so much smoother. Everybody is happier. We do this on a day-to-day basis. We know how every transaction is going to end before it even begins. So that's a long way of saying someone that trusts me. We do help with civilians 100%. It goes back to good people. My business is 100% referrals. So that's nice because either it's my friends or their friends of friends, and they're ducks marry ducks. So if they're good people, they're going to have good people. Um, so I would say that, like, as far as the civilians go, I 100%. I lost my train of thought there. Sorry. I 100% help civilians too. If you can do the VA loan, you can do any loan.
Wasn't that the
It's so true.
truth? I love that.
Tell us a little bit about kind of the details of your business. Like how many transactions do you do? What kind of volume are you doing?
We're
Rough.
doing last year we did about 22 million in volume, over 30 transactions. This year we're about, I would say 18, 19 million. So our numbers are down a little bit, but we're okay with that. Our sales price went up. We're right around, my business partner has these numbers like on the tip of his tongue. We're right around 500 per unit for our average. So our price per unit went up, our units went down, and our total volume went down a bit this year. And I think it was a tough year. I don't know what it's like in your market, but everything was hard.
Yes. I feel like across the whole country, just insane. But I am proud of all of us here because we are trying and continue to try, and I think we'll be better for it in this hard market.
Yeah.
Um, so you said you're all referral business. Is it like all past clients? I know you said you've got numbers going on, but like just thinking about like maybe your last 5 deals, like where did they come from? Was it military? Was it the Rotary
Um,
Club?
It was mostly, I graduated from West Point. West Point has a big alumni footprint in Tampa and across the nation. I've been fortunate enough where anytime there's an academy grad that comes to Tampa, more than likely they'll get my name. So
Hmm.
a big part of it comes from my alumni, and another part comes from just my sphere of influence in Tampa. And it's really unbelievable how many times some of my friends move. It's just, but it's those two places.
Okay.
And all of my, well, I just started some different type of marketing, but I would say a majority of my marketing dollars goes out to my sphere
Okay.
through, like internet lead or internet marketing, where they pop up everywhere, and or mailers every month. I have it like clockwork going out.
That's great. And how do you nurture your sphere and that partnership with West Point? Like, how do you know, make sure that they know you're still a realtor?
It texts, Facebook. I pick up the phone and call. It's just, our little phones, they do wonders, and they are phones where you can talk in and out. A lot of people rely on text, but it's that, and it's the mailers too that I have lined up with Fusion. Like I mentioned before, Fusion does all of my mailing, all of my internet marketing. So anytime my CRM I use is Lofty. Anytime I have a note, someone in my sphere that's new, they get put in, and then they are boot started, or uh, it's they're started on this uh, like rapid fire marketing, where they're mailed, so many items, and then they're put back on that regular trend. So those are the new sphere influence people get that jump starts what I was looking for. Sorry guys, I'm cold in Houston. I'm not as sharp as I normally am in Tampa.
We get
No,
it.
our brains like have to like heat up. Like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Don't worry. And it's a Monday and all
Yeah,
those
Yeah.
things.
totally.
But
Totally.
they essentially get on some sort of campaign, it sounds like, when they're brand new to your sphere. Okay.
Mhm.
And how does that, so Lofty triggers that for you and through
Yeah.
Fusion, or Fusion's connected to Lofty? How does that work?
So as soon as you enter in, you put in like all marketing, digital marketing, only a holiday card. If they get all marketing, then they get my resume. They get my all-in-one book, which shows, our family, and I believe they get one more item, and then they're put onto the regular queue of whatever goes out normally. But anyone that's new in my sphere gets a jump start of marketing, which includes my resume and my booklet and stuff.
Well, I'm curious what this is kind of going back a bit in your like business formation. What inspired you to start your own brokerage versus hanging your license at, XYZ brokerage? And where did the name Red Sash Group come from?
So my own brokerage, I never really wanted to open my own brokerage because that's hard. But because of my property management company, to hold a dual broker's license in Florida, you have to be a managing broker at that real estate agent. So I can't be a broker associate at, let's say, KW, and be a managing broker at my property management company. So that kind of pigeonholed me into getting into Red Sash. There are other options out there that I have explored, and I may end up doing. Just being a small boutique brokerage is amazing, but it also has its pitfalls. You don't have that coverage of a big corporation. We have E&O insurance, we have all that, we're covered, but there's just something to be said about having a big corporation. It's like a nice little warm blanket. I don't have that. So that's where that came from. That's why I've had to open my own brokerage. For the Red Sash, West Point, every senior had this, it's called a Red Sash, and it was excellence and achievement. And it signified all of the good things about being a good leader and having good character. And as a lower classman at West Point, you always strove to have that Red Sash. It was just a sign of excellence. So when it came to naming my brokerage, it just made sense. Named it Red Sash.
Oh, I love that story. That is so sweet. Okay, so I could talk to you for hours, Sunny, but as we wrap up here, tell us, everybody is struggling in this market right now as a real estate agent in one way, shape, or form. If you're talking to somebody, a realtor right now that's really struggling, what are the words of encouragement you would give them?
Find a schedule and stick to it. You just got to I'm going to butcher this parable, but the one guy that's digging for gold, but then he stops like a couple inches from gold. That goes through my head. Like, you just got to keep doing the things that matter. You've got to keep doing those things. And if you need to, however you need to do that, is that a schedule? Is that a point system? All agents know what to do. It's just hard to do it because it's very mundane. So it's ticking to the mundane stuff.
That's amazing. Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Sunny, so much for taking time out of your day, especially while you're super cold and it's a Monday morning.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought a couple times there. Sorry.
No, you are so well spoken, and this was just amazing. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Of course.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Cory Wall
and Kristin James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.